Good morning, everyone. In a minute, I will be announcing the challenge for week 2. But first, I wanted to check in with how you went with week 1. So hopefully you have gotten your welcome pack from the email and you've filled it in. So this is me. I've written mine in there and I did it, so I've given it a tick. And I've also got my badge ready to add to my can-do board. Here we go. So this might seem a little bit silly, but I find even as adults, it's still fun to sort of collect rewards and things like that. So I do encourage you to do that if you feel drawn to it. I also wanted to check that everyone's been getting their emails. I had one person reach out, thankfully, and let me know that it wasn't working. So if you haven't been receiving the emails and you registered for the challenge, please send an email to whatcanidoaustralia@gmail.com. Great. All right, now we'll get on to the challenge for week 2. So the theme for this week is divesting. So divesting is when we remove our money from financial institutions or other organizations, remove our support when they're investing in fossil fuels. So we may not realize that, but many of the banks, superannuation funds, insurers and universities and even workplaces are investing and propping up the fossil fuel industry. So the divestment movement asks us to remove our support from them. So for the challenge, you get to find what works for you. So maybe you've already divested and we'll give you some other options. But if you haven't divested, I will be sending out an email with links where you can look up whether your bank does invest in fossil fuels and also your superannuation fund. And then it's something for you to consider given your own individual circumstances, whether you would like to divest. So Market Forces are the organisation that have done the research on that, and I'll send links for that out. Okay, and so if you have already divested, let's have a think about what else you could do. It's also, I guess, looking at if you have any stocks or shares. Maybe you've been building up a portfolio for a while and only recently became aware of the climate crisis. So it's about having a look at those companies that you've invested in and seeing how ethical they are in terms of the climate crisis. Other things you can do is consider maybe there's other industries that you support, such as if you use an insurer, if you work at a workplace or at a university, if you're a student at a university, there are campaigns at some universities and workplaces to encourage them to divest. So you might want to find out about that campaign and see what you can do to support that, or maybe just starting some conversations with other people there to see if they would be interested in getting together and putting a bit of pressure on those workplaces and universities. Of course, we have to be considerate of your own individual circumstances. So not every workplace you would be in a position of power to do that sort of thing, but that's something to consider. So other than that, we can of course spread the word about divestment. So that might be making a post, or a thing that really engages people is video, but it takes a lot the first time to get out of your comfort zone like that. But you could put a video and say, hey, I divested and this is why, and this is how you could do it, or a post or something like that would be great. If none of those appeal to you, we can cast the net even wider and think more about a general boycott. So, what companies do you rely on maybe a lot or regularly that maybe aren't that ethical when it comes to the climate crisis? And part of Market Forces' suggestions for divesting is also to send an email to the CEO of the company or someone. They're letting them know, hey, I'm considering divesting because of your place with investment in fossil fuels. And the more people that do that, the more pressure can lead them to actually changing their policies, and we have seen that happen. Okay, so yeah, the theme for this week is divesting. Don't forget to write your individual goal down here. Join the Facebook group and share your thoughts and experiences on this part of the climate movement, which is divesting. Great, I hope you have a wonderful week, and I'll send those emails out shortly and talk to you soon. Bye.